So today we're actually going to take a trip over to Mountain Lake and Lake Wales to get some bees out of a wall. So what we'll do is open up this wall. After we shoot a temperature to find out exactly where they're at, we will get the entire colony relocated, get the queen, and everybody moved into a bee box, transport it out of here, and then we'll seal everything up to prevent bees from coming back in the future. So these will be the wooden frames that we're actually going to move the wax that they already have built in the wall into. So this gives us a way to be able to secure the combs with rubber bands. We can put these into a bee box, so then in the future when we need to check on them for healthiness, we can just open this up, pull these out, and not disturb the combs. Okay, so this is the fun part. So we've done the investigation. So the bees are coming in. There are two points by the roof and towards the actual roof itself. We'll lift it to both levels. So what we're left with, we use a thermal imaging camera, and when you take this here, if you want to come around to the other side, you can follow this up the wall and you can see the heat spot. So on this wall, there's quite a bit of heat coming here in between these wall studs. So you can see you're between here and here. So you could even put your ear to the wall and hear them buzzing. So the game plan from here is basically to close off this room. So you've got a hallway coming up this way. We want to hang plastic and make an enclosure from here. Close these doors to prevent any bees from escaping. And then we're going to be safe to go ahead and open up this wall and then get the bees out safely. And then once we've got it all relocated, then we can go about patching everything up, repairing it, and also preventing bees from coming back in. There's a lot going to be going on here in the next 30 minutes or so. Oh, smells like good barbecue. I think everybody can basically associate beekeepers with the smoker. So you basically have, let me set this down, here's your tape. You'll basically have a cylinder with a top and a pair of billows, and what we'll end up doing is putting a little bit of a kindling in here. In this case, we usually use pine needles, something to light on fire and start a small bit of smoke. So the easiest way to explain this is we're replicating a forest fire. So a bee's natural instinct when they sense smoke is, one, to emergency evacuate. So they gorge themselves on honey whenever they sense the smoke, and so they kind of go lethargic because they're getting ready to move. The other thing this will accomplish is it'll mask any sort of smells, because bees communicate in two ways. One, through dance, and we'll cover that later on, and then also through pheromones and smells. So whenever we open up the wall, if there's no smoke, they send out an alarm pheromone that lets the other bees know, like, hey, something's going on. So if we have smoke that goes in between, that'll cover that smell, so we're less likely to get stung. So we'll get this lit up in a little bit. I want to keep this to a minimum just because we're inside of a home. We don't want it to smell like a barbecue house in here. So just before we get this open, we'll get this started. We'll pop a little bit of smoke in there, and then we'll run it outside. So these, we've been noticing, this is going on about 2 weeks. So in that 2 week span, you'll see when we get this open just how much they've already built. So it's going to be pretty big. What are your guesses? What do you think?
I say about 3 sheets going vertical,
yeah,
horizontal across.
Yeah.
Probably typical like that.
Yeah, probably. I guess we'll see whenever we get this open, but this will be a cool one to see.
In reality, you know, you can actually smell, if you've worked with bees long enough, you can actually smell the pheromones of a queen, and to me it smells like lemon. Like lemongrass, sort of. Especially a virgin queen, newly hatched queen, really, really strong.
Okay, perfect. This is an operational order. Just want to make sure we have plenty of suction. You don't want too much and you don't want too little. If you have too little, this will actually clog up with bees. If you have too much, the bees will actually come running in too fast, smack the back side of the box, and it kills them. So you want to have this set to make sure that it's not too much and not too little. So like I said, we're trying to save all these and just get them actually transferred in safely. But this should be fine. We're just gonna run to Lowe's real quick. We need to pick up some more blades that are appropriate for what we need. Crushing frame. All right, you wanna hop in? So we're about to take a trip back over to the hardware store. The blades that we were using were actually meant to cut metal and wood, and we actually ran into more of a concrete board. So I gotta get a couple of those, couple pieces of lumber and some screws to tack everything back in. How's it going?
Going good. How are you guys doing?
Enjoying our weekend. I'm bearing gifts. Let me grab you a suit just so you can make sure that you don't get stung. This is the latest fashion trend. Brought to you straight from Europe. Easy breeze. Looks good. I'm just playing my video game, so I'll wait.
It's your smoker.
There's your first bee.
Do just maybe a quart, just minimum. That thing will build a lot of smoke.
Oh, I know how it is.
Yeah, there's that beam.
So, in just a matter of 2 weeks, they've managed to build all of this fresh comb.
That's white. When it's real white like that, it's really fresh.
Yeah. So this, right now, they're pretty close to an orange grove, so they have a lot of nectar to be able to produce wax. You've got plenty of honey, pollen, and brood already just stored away, so this is just incredible.
And they would have just keep continuing all the way down to the floor, keep building down, building down.
Okay, so what we'll end up doing from here is we're going to use the bee vacuum to go ahead and get the bees off of the comb to be able to safely contain them and act as crowd control. That's going to give us access to the beeswax, and we're going to be able to cut that, frame it up in these wooden frames along with rubber bands so we can transport all of their resources into a bee box and then rehome the bees to an apiary. So a little bit of a process, and in the middle of it, hoping we can find the queen and get her caged so she can be used as bait to catch the rest of them. So, yeah, that's absolutely incredible.
This is where she just started laying, and a month from now these would just be solid, you know, and she would have just kept coming down, but she's in her prime. She'd have been good for 2 or 3 years.
I wish you guys could smell this because this smells incredible. This is orange blossom honey.
That's good stuff, yeah. Probably can't see with the camera, but all of these little cells here have different stages of larva. And the further you go out here, there's little eggs in every one of those. So those have probably been laid within a day or so. So they just, you know, they get up from the egg with the larva to the capped brood, and then they hatch. The clear cells are the ones that have already hatched.
Here's the queen, Dad.
I'll be damned. You better go to the casino is all I can tell you. I'm not kidding. Chance for him to have found that.
Anytime we do a removal, what we want to do is prevent bees from coming back in the future. So anything that was covered in wax, we want to coat with Flex Seal and mask that scent, because beeswax leaves behind a pheromone. So even if you scrape everything down, if you leave a little bit of remnants, they're always going to come back. So in the cases of this wood, when we cover this with Flex Seal, that's going to cover the smell, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to fill this entire cavity from the floor to the ceiling, just to make sure that she doesn't have bees come back here in the future. All right, well, we're just now finishing up the one that we just took care of in the wall. Got the queen, So with her, what we're going to end up doing is transferring her to an apiary along with the combs that we all framed up. We're going to put her in the box, open the bee vacuum, shake the bees in there, and let them acclimate to their new home. So we still have quite a bit of work left to do after this. We actually need to patch up the wall and get everything tied back in. So we're going to be here for a little bit, but I just wanted to show you guys kind of how we go about relocating a bees colony.